Today I'm going to be talking about a few things I've experienced as a Wattpad writer, things that I did to grow and tips for you to help you grow, do's and don'ts as a writer, basically just everything that I've been through as a writer on Wattpad, and most of these tips are going to be really helpful for you guys if you're trying to navigate Wattpad. But before we get into today's video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the bell icon so you do not miss an update. It would mean a ton and would help me a lot. Without further ado, let's get to it.
Hey guys, this is Jane. Welcome back to the channel. Hey!
These tips are going to be helpful for everyone that's trying to navigate Wattpad as a writer. Either you're just starting up as a new writer or you've been on Wattpad for a few years. These tips are going to be helpful, and I hope that it can get you to places that you dream of. Alright, I'm going to start with the first thing, which is the first thing everybody sees, you as a writer or someone as a reader. We're going to be seeing this from two perspectives, from a writer's perspective and from a reader's perspective. So as a writer, it's like you already have an idea of what your book entails. So you have to try and, bring all of that into the book cover. I know they say do not judge a book by its cover, but a lot of people, I will tell you, a lot of people judge a book by its cover. I mean, I am one of those people. I know it's not nice, it's not fair, it's not just, and most of the book covers out there, especially on Wattpad, do not do the book justice. So, which is why I'm making this my first point. I've been writing on Wattpad for over 6-7 years, and I'm not going to say like the first few years it was like just instantly that I knew how to design a book cover. For a while, I had a few people designing book covers for me when I started to grow on Wattpad. But at first, it was just me designing my book cover, and I knew nothing about designing or about font size and what fonts to use or anything like that. I had no clue what to do, and looking back on the book covers I've designed, I'm like, wait, what was that? Like, no, just no. Make sure you scour the internet for the perfect picture, and I mean perfect picture, because at first I was looking for my book covers on like the picture to use. I was looking for it on like Google and some other places. Now I use Pinterest, and Pinterest has been my go-to for the past 3-4 years right now, and it has been helping me not only my book covers but also my book trailers. Since Unforgettable Feelings, I've been making trailers for my books, and Pinterest is my go-to. Like if I'm looking for like a video or a picture, I go to Pinterest. Most of the time I try to find the source of the picture or the video I'm looking for, and I ask permission from the person, from the owner. Usually when they reply, they ask me if I am going to monetize what I'm using their content for. I'm not getting paid on Wattpad, so it's not a monetized content. And most of my conversations with people who own content has been that way, which I'm very grateful to them for, because how do you want me to pay you? Like, I can't pay you. Anyway, if they tell me no, then fine, I move on to the next content and find the next perfect thing for me. I tell you, I spend almost 1 to 2 hours looking for a book cover. And most times I find them what I'm looking for. Other times I just save the last picture that is closest to what I'm looking for, and then I continue the next day or some other day until I find a picture that is like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Most people will read your book regardless of what book cover you put on it, but I think a book cover captures readers on Wattpad. So you have to spend a good amount of time researching for the perfect picture to match the content of your story, what your story is about. After you find the picture, designing, I suggest when you're designing your book cover, you can use Canva, you can use PicArt, you can use Photogrid. I use Photogrid and PicArt. Those are my two favorite apps that I use to design my book covers. A lot of people use Canva, and Canva is obviously Canva is so good, and Wattpad even suggests using Canva. So you can go ahead and use Canva. Any of those three, you can decide which one works best for you and figure out how to design your book cover. And while selecting your font, and a font for the title and a font for your name, I suggest something simple. If you're not that great at designing, then I suggest something simple, something basic. If it's just like a sans serif or a TNR, just try to keep it simple. But if you're like a design guru, then please go ahead and make it the best cover you've ever made. Anyway, that's the first tip I suggest for Wattpad writers out there, is to take the time to design a cover that matches the content, your story, or what you're writing. The second thing is your book title. I am not an expert in this. I do not know how to find the perfect title, but I would suggest finding something that, you know, draws Wattpad users in, Wattpad readers in, but at the same time it doesn't give so much away. Like, it's capturing, but it's vaguely capturing. Like, this title sounds so, you know, like it draws you in, but at the same time it makes you curious, like intrigued as to what it's about and how the story relates to the title. And when people click on your book on Wattpad, the title is the first thing, the title and the book cover is the first thing that draws them in. When they tap on your book to read it, the second thing that comes up is the synopsis or the blob or the content, or like a summary of what the story is about. So you have to write your blob in such a way that it relates to the title, so it gives them like an idea of what is going on and how the title is connected with the story. And once you do that, they're more curious to find out, like, what's the story about? Like, how do the characters, you know, go about this thing that this writer has just like told us about? I think your title and your blob, they're very important. They're one of those things that captures your readers to begin your book, because that is what you're trying to get your readers to do on Wattpad, is to read your book. First is the book cover, second is the title and the blob. Third thing is your actual story, the story you have written. If you're starting up as a writer, please do not let this affect you in any way. Keep writing regardless of how this affects you or how you take this, because I've just written on Wattpad for like 6-7 years, and there are people on Wattpad with way more years on Wattpad with more writing history than I have, or less writing history than I have. Regardless, we all have different experience as a writer, and it's our experience that makes us a better writer. And I am saying all of this, I am giving you all of these tips, these do's and these don'ts, and all of these things I am giving you from my own perspective and the things I've experienced. Someone else's tips about all of these things might differ from mine, but this is mine and this is what has worked for me. Third point is to have a solid plot for your story. When I started on Wattpad, let me tell you, I didn't have all of these things figured out. So it's okay if you don't. As time goes on, you would get all of this knowledge and find a plot that works best for you. I find it that I work best when I just know the start and the finish of my story, and I have like milestones I want to reach for the characters and character growth, all of those things, but I don't have everything mapped out. Some writers do, some writers don't, and it's fine. You just have to figure out what works best for you. And while figuring out a plot for your story, I suggest just having different milestones in your journey, as in your character's journey, just having different milestones for them. Like, I'm going to take a romance story as an example because that is my niche. Let's say it's about a girl who meets a boy. Let's just make it an introduction to the girl, what her story is about. Then the next milestone would obviously be like when she meets the boy, like a cute meet. So that should be the next milestone. Then the milestone after that should be like when she finally agrees to like go out with him. Then the milestone after that should be like their first kiss or something, the first time they hold hands. And after that, just plan different milestones in the story and figure out how to reach all of those milestones. If you don't have all these things figured out yet, that is perfectly okay. You would figure it out as you keep writing. So if right now you're just writing like a short story, or you don't have the plot or milestones figured out, that is fine. Just keep writing, keep working on it, and keep posting. Do not leave it drafted on WATTPAD. Please publish it. Thank you. Which brings us to the next point. The fourth one is publish. Please, just like, even if it's not edited, even if it's just like you have reached the point where like, yeah, this is the next chapter, but I'm not sure I want to publish it, that type of way. If you feel that, do not wait, publish it, because the longer you wait, the longer you might have regrets. I heard something one time, and I'm not sure who said it, I've forgotten, but I'm paraphrasing. Basically, it's like, if you put something out right now, when time goes, like after a year, you can go back to that thing and take it down if you want to. But if you do not post that thing and you wait for 1 year, you might look back and just start having regrets of why you didn't post it. So what I'm basically trying to say is that if you post it now, after a month or 3 months, if you think it's not working, you can go back and edit it and change it and maybe even take it down. But you can't actually go back and say, I wish I published this thing. So just publish it, no matter how unfinished you think it is or unedited you think it is, just publish it. Most of my journey on WATTPAD is just publishing all the chapters I had without even going through it again. At the time I started WATTPAD, I just wrote my story and I didn't even bother to edit it because I was like, I am not an official writer or an author. I just thought this is my story and I am giving it out to the world, and whichever way they take it, they would take it. That is why I'm so grateful for WATTPAD as a community, because it has built me up, and I'm so grateful to all the readers on there. Well, the readers that have read my books, they've been so kind, so sweet. Well, most of them, but then most of them have been dropping inline comments as to corrections and editing changes that I have to make in the book. And even sometimes there's something wrong with the plot, and some of the readers bring it up to my attention that this doesn't match what you said a few chapters ago. I am so grateful for that. It's readers like those that have made me a much better writer. As time went on, I started taking those things into consideration while writing a chapter. So once you're starting, it's not important that it's edited or it's like finished. Just publish that chapter. You can go back in later and edit it and make any of the changes, but you can't go back and wish you had published it. So publish that draft. Hey guys, so I just saw that video was 50 minutes long, and that was very unplanned. And I have so much going on right now with work and my other personal things that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to edit a 50 minutes long video. I'm gonna split the video into what you just watched was part 1. I'm gonna have part 2 up as soon as I've edited it. But till then, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the bell icon too. It would help me a ton and mean a lot. If you have any questions for me or content suggestions for me, make sure you drop it all down in the comments below. I would see you guys in part 2. Bye!
Hey you, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell.